Hi, Miss Beatty. Thank you for joining me today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Let's see. I am a high school English teacher, and I have been at ECG for 3 years. This is my third year at ECG. Before that, I taught at Northern. Before that, I taught in Durham, North Carolina, and then before that in LA, and before that in Nepal with the Peace Corps. And that takes me about all the way back to college. I grew up in Greensboro and went to Grimsley and never thought that I would return to Greensboro. But here I am, happily back in my hometown.
What subject do you teach, specifically?
I teach AP language, which is what the 10th graders at ECG take. So it's basically like freshman composition.
Why did you decide to become a teacher?
Well, when I was in college, I was an English major and creative writing minor, and I had no intention of being a teacher. And then I joined the Peace Corps, and they said, "Oh, you were an English major, so you should be a English teacher." And I thought, "Okay, fine. I'm 21. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. If you're going to give me a plane ticket halfway around the world." So I found that I really love teaching. I was teaching 11th and 12th graders who were really not that much younger than me at that point in Nepal, and I did that for a couple of years, and then decided that I would try it again in the US. And so I went to Los Angeles and taught for a few years there. And it's a little bit like a surgeon saying he's going to, or she is going to practice cutting somebody open for a few years and see if they really like it and then go to med school. But that's more or less what I did. Then I went back to graduate school after I taught for about 4 years. And what I really love about it is just conversations about reading and writing that are so authentic, and the fact that you can have conversations in the classroom with a community of people that it seems to me don't happen many other places.
Mm-hmm. Well, now we have you, so I'm really happy you chose English. What inspires you?
What inspires me? Good writing, really good writing, whether it's in books that I'm reading or in my students' writing. I read a lot to kind of fuel myself. And when people say things that are true in a new and original way, or things that are beautiful and even better, beautiful and true, that inspires me.
What is one of your hidden talents?
Oh, hidden talents. I don't know. I wear my talents on my sleeves. I read, I write. Let's see. I'm a pretty good kid wrangler, I have to say. I have 3 small children, and I that side of me is not on display in the classroom as much. The students at ECG don't really need to be wrangled, but I can do a lot with a yard full of unruly 5-year-olds.
If you didn't become a teacher, what would you be?
That's a good question. Probably, well, I do write now. It's very hard to make a living as a writer, so I like the fact that my teaching feeds my writing and my writing feeds my teaching. So I hesitate to say writer, maybe like an editor. It's hard for me to imagine doing something that strays very far from teaching.
In which other teacher's class would you like to enroll even for a day, and why?
That's a good question. There's so many good options because I always hear my students talking about what's going on in their other classes, but I'd have to say probably APUSH, probably Mr. Johnson's class, just because I hear students talk about it so much. There's so much overlap between AP Lang and APUSH, sometimes in terms of content, certainly in terms of like thinking and writing skills. So yeah, that would probably be the one.
What is one memory you have from when you were in school or college?
Only one?
Yeah. I mean, you can do more than one.
Yeah, no, I'm teasing you. There's so many. Memories of school or college. Okay, here's a memory from my senior year in college. I was at Chapel Hill, and I was in this honors creative writing fiction seminar with Doris Betts, who was a wonderful North Carolina writer who retired right after that year. And she didn't want to meet on campus. She didn't want to meet like in the kind of stuffy old Greenlaw English building. And so she somehow found like this it wasn't a pool hall, but it was this lounge area kind of behind a bar or a pool hall that had all these couches. And we just kind of went in there and hung out and read each other's stories and talked about writing. And I thought, oh, this is like what an ideal class feels like.
If you could be anyone for a day, living or deceased, who would you be and why?
That is a very hard question. It would probably be a writer. I'm very predictable. But which writer? I don't know. Maybe Virginia Woolf. I'm a little obsessed with Virginia Woolf, as my students know when they get assigned Virginia Woolf essays. Yeah, but any writer from another time period, I think it would be fascinating to kind of see the world through their eyes.
What do you work towards in your free time?
What do I work towards? Wow. Let's see. Peace in my household, because my household is a little bit crazy, and justice in some ways, little small ways that I feel like I can make a difference. And I guess with myself, contentment, being satisfied with my lot.
What is your dream vacation?
My dream vacation. Right now, I've been thinking a lot about Nepal, which is where I lived for a little over 2 years in the Peace Corps. And I've been back once since I left. And my husband was also a Peace Corps volunteer, so he lived in a town a couple of hours away from mine. But I would love to go back. That seems like a daunting vacation to do with a family of 5. But that's probably number 1 on my list right now.
What can you cook to perfection?
I am a baker. I mean, I can cook other things, but I would say apple pie.
I love apple pie. If you could have any superpower, what would that be?
Any superpower? I don't know. The first thing that came to mind was to be invisible, but that seems like that would inevitably lead to a lot of problems. But I'll just go with that, to be invisible.
Okay. If you could grow up in any decade, which would you choose?
Any decade. I've always been sort of fascinated by the 60s, I think, because that was when my parents were growing up. And so I heard lots of stories, and it always seemed like I was born in the late 70s. So the 60s always seemed like just out of reach, just out of memory. Though I don't know if I actually would have liked growing up in the 60s, but I'd be interested to find out.
Yeah. If you were to be given a superlative when you were in school, what would it have been?
I don't know. Most shy. I was very shy in high school. I was very quiet. Yeah.
And then lastly, what one piece of advice would you give to your students?
What one piece of advice would I give? There's this Anna Quindlen, she's a writer, Anna Quindlen commencement speech that she gives to graduates, where she talks to graduates about how they need to get a life, that it's fine to get an education, and it's fine to get a career, and it's fine to have a family, and it's fine to buy a house, but what you really need to do is get a life. And so I think, we're very driven by our education and our careers, and by what we do as something to define us. But I think that you got to think about the bigger picture in terms of what you want your life to feel like, right? Not who you want to be, not what you want on your resume, but think about the people you want in your life. Think about the kind of person you want to be, and think about how you can go out and acquire a life that includes education and career and family and all those wonderful things, but it is also more than that.
Mm-hmm. And that's all. Thank you so much, Miss Beatty. And
right.
We're glad to have you as an ECG teacher.
All right. Thank you so much.